Now, this is 1 in 100 years transformation. Maybe some of the competitors you've known for more than 100 years. But you also take the new players seriously.
But actually, Mercedes' market share in China has been dropping. Has Mercedes lost the battle in China?
Absolutely not. We want to kind of stay out a little bit of the price war. That has to be the attitude.
You put more emphasis on the luxury strategy rather than electrification transition, is that right?
No, that's not right. Electrification and the quest towards zero emission goes through the whole portfolio.
Luxury cars may have lost their tech edge. How can Mercedes still offer a truly luxurious car?
How do you define modern luxury now? It never stands still.
Do consumers still want a luxury car? Will gasoline-powered car disappear? If that day comes, who will Mercedes-Benz be?
Well, I have never worked in a period that is more exciting than what we're seeing right now.
Hello， 大家好，我是小俊，我是腾讯新闻的科技主笔，同时也是播客节目张小俊商业访谈录的制作人。今天呢，坐在我对面的是奔驰汽车的全球 CEO 康林松先生 ，Mr Ola Källenius。他1969年出生，1993年加入了奔驰汽车，在2019年担任了奔驰的全球 CEO， 至今已经6年了。我今天特别想跟他探讨的话题是，奔驰作为汽车发明者，在当下这个电动化、智能化转型的过程中，奔驰如何转身呢？我特别想给大家呈现的是一个转折中的139岁巨人。Hi, Mr. Ola Källenius. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Okay, Benita, fire away.
So, can I say that as of today, the 139-year-old Mercedes giant is at an unprecedented turning point in its history?
I think the whole auto industry is at the turning point, and we have only seen the first chapter of a fundamental transformation. This is 1 in 100 years. Transformation. I think there are two mega trends, of course. We're on the way towards zero emission. That is the road. New energy vehicles, EVs. So zero emission is coming step by step. China is a leading market in terms of NEVs, but across the world, at different speeds, obviously, the journey is towards zero emission. The other thing is the intelligence side and AI. So I'm very excited that we're launching our brand new CLA that a long wheelbase CLA. We have packaged literally supercomputers inside this car. One of those chips can do more than 270 trillion calculations. It's just crazy the amount of compute power that you have. That's what the revolution is all about. I think I always thought it's the most exciting industry in the world, and I have never worked in a period that is more exciting than what we're seeing right now.
Okay, so next let us look into the Chinese market.
Okay.
Over the past 6 years, what has been your most important insight about this market?
First of all, it's speed. There is the expression China speed. In China, nobody waits for anybody. It's go, 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 go. So the Chinese market is moving fast, but it's also innovative, especially in the digital space. Automated driving, smart cockpit, language understanding. So for us, it's also crucial to work together with the leading tech companies, Tencent being one of them, obviously, and work with these tech companies to integrate tech that Chinese customers want, that they're used to maybe from their smartphone, also into the vehicle. So speed and tech, I think, are the two things that have impressed me most.
But as I know, Mercedes' market share in China has been dropping for the past 3 years, and pure electric vehicle sales have not met expectations. What do you think the reason is? And do you think this trend will continue?
We're selling 20 years of producing Mercedes in China. We started just with a few thousand vehicles. 20 years ago, we could never imagine that we would sell several hundred thousands of vehicles. So we worked ourselves up to a position where we were somewhere between 600,000 and 700,000 vehicles. And last year, we were also in the 680-ish, which is very good. So in spite of an extremely competitive market, some pieces of the market that has also been signified by price wars and new entrants and the volume makers kind of going at each other, we have tried to the best of our ability to stay out of that a little bit. You know, if you buy a Mercedes, it's not something you just buy and then you throw it away after 3 years. It has more value than that. So we feel that we have a strong position, but we want to kind of stay out a little bit of the price war and maybe protect the residuals for our customers than to punch the last sales figure.
According to the China Automobile Dealer Association, the CADA, China's electric vehicle penetration was 4.7% in 2019. And by 2024, it had grown to a whopping 47.6%. Has Mercedes lost the battle in China for electric vehicles?
Absolutely not. If you look at how the trend has transpired in China, electrification has come from the bottom and gone up. So it started mostly in the entry segment as kind of city cars, and now are going into the volume segment. If you look at the top segment where we're dominant with the S-Class and these types of vehicles, the electric vehicles that we have, even if it's a smaller percentage of the total, we usually have the highest market share even in those segments. But that's not going to be enough. We need to comprehensively expand our portfolio. The biggest segments for us in our portfolio, where we think that most of the action is going to be, where Mercedes starts, is kind of the SUVs in our entry, like a GLB or a GLC in our core segment, C-Class, this CLA, then maybe into the E-Class and so on. And I think the best example is the latest E-Class that we launched here in China last year, long wheelbase E-Class. It's dominating that segment and the customers love it. That is the best for you for now. You can get that from Mercedes, but you will see a very, very, very comprehensive electric product offensive from Mercedes here in the next years. We're going to launch more cars in the next 3 years than we have ever launched in the history of the company. Most of them EVs. Make sure that our customers are going to have a full electric lineup at the latest in all relevant segments and models by the end of this decade. So I think these next 5 years are going to be crucially important for us to build that electric market share.
But in October 2020, Mercedes announced a shift in focus towards the luxury car market. I think you put more emphasis on the luxury strategy rather than electrification transition. Is that right?
No, that's not right, because electrification is going to happen from top to bottom. We're working on a brand new electric architecture for our performance vehicles at AMG. We have just launched an electric G-Class. I mean, the crazy go-anywhere adventure car is also now electric. So whether you're at the top of the portfolio or the entry part of the portfolio, electrification and the quest towards zero emission goes through the whole portfolio. And yes, we are in that top-end segment. We are the largest manufacturer on a worldwide basis. So it's natural for us to want to grow that segment. And it's also, from a business point of view, a profitable segment. And of course, we generate the cash flow. We are our own venture capitalist.
Yes.
So the cash that we make, financial strength equals innovation strength. We put those billions back into technology and new products. But it doesn't mean that we're going to exit what we call the core segments, where you have the C-Class, the E-Class, the GLC, the GLE. So for a Chinese customer, the Mercedes portfolio, as you know it, stays roughly the same, but gets a massive, massive technological upgrade. And of course, we want to be class leading on that.
I'm curious, do you like big refrigerator, widescreen TV, big sofa approach of Chinese brand car?
We have here also, and in many of our cars now, what we call a super screen. So a screen that goes from pillar to pillar, that feels like it is a high-class living room, maybe with designer Italian furniture. You know, what does it feel like? Welcome home feeling when you step into the car. It's maybe the most efficient car in the market now. But at the same time, I'm 195 tall. I can sit comfortably in that car. This is an entry-level Mercedes. If I sit in an S-Class, of course, I feel like a king, and I have all the space. So to work on space economy, I think is right, and it's that blend that we're trying to offer to the Mercedes customers and fans around the world.
Do you think the success or failure in the Chinese market will decide whether the global transformation of Mercedes succeeds?
I think the Chinese market at the moment is the one with the fastest pace and the highest competitive pressure. So if you can be successful in the Chinese market, the likelihood that you're going to be successful in markets around the world is higher. It is the biggest market, it's our biggest market, so it is very important, and that's why we pay so much attention to it. That is why we have decided here for our next generation products to invest 14 billion RMB. This is really the place to be.
Regarding the current situation, what innovative strategies do you have to turn things around in Chinese market?
So building our R&D footprint. We started many years ago an R&D center here in Beijing where we have our main operations.
Mm-hmm.
That grew over the years. We significantly expanded our R&D center here in Beijing and kind of built a whole new building, added more talent, more engineers. And a couple of years ago, we added another R&D center, which is based in Shanghai, that are working on the new technologies. They are linked to the mothership in Germany, where the central R&D effort is. But really now we are, an R&D powerhouse around the world. So it's like an R&D network working together around the clock, pretty much 24 hours a day.
How does the independent decision-making mechanism of the China R&D team effectively align with the global R&D system?
So in the past, it was mostly somebody decides something in Germany, it gets executed somewhere else in the world. We have also changed that model now. A lot of the things actually originate out of China. Just to take two simple examples, the newest parking software, you just kind of push a button and the car parks itself. That's technology that our R&D team developed here. And we take that technology to the world markets. We are going to launch next year a complete new rear seat entertainment system. Yeah, many of our cars, of course, the customer sits in the back. That's another example of a technology that we're developing with our team here, and we'll take that to the world. So more and more decision-making now is in China, for sure, but also in China for the world. So the R&D team here now plays a much bigger role in the last couple or 3 years. So I think we could do even more.
Will there be a product designed entirely by the Chinese team?
You should never say never. We haven't done that yet, but you should never say never.
Next, let us move on to the topics about new technology.
Okay.
Critics say Mercedes is late to the electronic car game and that Tesla is 10 years ahead of you. How do you respond?
If you look at the efficiency of this vehicle here, this will have, with CLTC certification in its highest range version, more than 850 kilometers range. It will have a consumption around 11 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, charge with an 800 volt basic architecture, more than 300 kilometers in 10 minutes. So in that segment, it more or less beats any car that is out there. But at the same time, you get the Mercedes values, you get the 75 years of research into safety into this vehicle. Focus on delivering what the Mercedes customers want and take that to the next level. If we do that, a very good portion of the market that will come to us.
Do you think the launch of CLA will change Mercedes' current situation, especially in China?
We should not overemphasize just one model, but what I think is important with this launch is it's at the same time the launch of two new technical platforms inside the company. One I mentioned is the e-drivetrain, but it's also the very comprehensive reworking of the software stack and the corresponding hardware that goes with the software stack. We call it from chip to cloud, so defining what chip, what compute power do you need, how do you build up the architecture of the whole software stack, how do you link it to the cloud, how do you use AI and also now Gen AI, that is like a platform inside Mercedes that will find its way into all Mercedes vehicles. So the reason why we're emphasizing the CLA so much, it's because it ushers in a new generation of technologies for Mercedes. We have more than 40 models in our portfolio. We have to do that, and we have to then take that technology and proliferate it into the whole portfolio.
Tesla does everything in-house. You chose to outsource computing power, but if you are not in control of all those technology yourself, can you in control of the luxury yourself?
Absolutely. If you use the analogy of cooking a dish, you can get ingredients from different places, but you have to be the cook. MBOS as a whole is a holistic operating system where we can integrate partners, or we can also do things ourselves. If you take the software that controls the battery management system, the core function of a car, all of that software we have written ourselves. And we have more than now 20 years of experience. The first electric car that we launched from the Smart brand back in 2007. So we have been working on a long time on different aspects of this software, but now it comes together in one holistic stack inside MBOS. Even take something like the tire. So you have had tires for 100 years, right? Do you believe the tire is a high-tech product? Maybe you would say, no, I don't think it's just a tire, right? Wrong. Tire is also a high-tech product. We work with tire suppliers to develop traction, braking distances that fits perfectly for this car. So every aspect of a car has a high-tech element to it. We talk more about the digital side, ADAS, smart cockpit, virtual assistant, AI agent, and so on. But you need to have the competency as a car company in all those verticals. And that is what makes a Mercedes-Benz a Mercedes-Benz. So every domain, physical or digital, of the car is part of the intelligence of the car. But where you choose to then integrate a partner, or you go all the way and do it yourself, I think that needs to be flexible.
Mercedes is testing solid-state batteries. Can you share more about this development?
So next to the chemistries that we now have in the pipeline, how do you get 850 kilometers out of a car like this, and at the same time the car looks fantastic? You squeeze every single watt that you use for whatever function in the car out of it, and we then select to work with the best partners in the world to cook a recipe that fits for a Mercedes. But yes, we also have other future technologies in the pipeline. So we work with 2 or 3 different partners on different versions of solid state. We're looking into the high silicon content anode, and we just recently built a demonstrator with one company to just show what solid state can do. So we put it into an EQS and built a battery that can take the car 1,000 kilometers.
One of the founders of Chinese EV companies said they want to become an AI company rather than a car maker. What do you think about that?
We're still going to be a physical product car company, but there is no question that the revolution that is going on in AI and marrying AI with the physical product propels the product to a new level. It is going to make going from A to B safer, much safer, because those computers powered by AI are ultimately going to make better decisions than humans. So there are still a lot of accidents out there in the world, unfortunately. Pretty much every accident is caused by some level of human error. If we can take that out, we can get closer to the mission that Mercedes has always been on, to get to 0 accidents. So we can use now AI to make the original product on a whole new level, so much better. It's not just about safety, it's also about convenience. If you take the next steps of automated driving, we are the first company in the world that have actually put a fully certified, safe L3, level 3 product onto the market. Started in Germany and then in the United States. Now we have taken it from the original 60 kilometers an hour to 95 kilometers an hour. what do you get from that? You get the most valuable gift of all. You get time back. And you can decide what you want to do with that time. Do you want to check your messages on your phone maybe? You want to have a nice conversation with the person sitting next to you? Do you want to just sit back and listen to music? Do you want to watch a movie? In this car here, we have what we call the Mercedes Virtual Assistant. The first version of that, I think we launched 7 or 8 years ago. And it felt for the first time you could start talking a little bit to the car. Now, when we have this with AI agents in the background through the cloud, it's like you have your own super intelligence in the car, like your own butler. I don't know if you're an Iron Man fan. He gets help from Jarvis. Now you have your own Jarvis. So I think every human being in the car or outside of the car is in the future going to have a super intelligence as a friend, as an alter ego that can help you probably with anything in the future. So it's changing all industries and it's changing our lives. Absolutely agree. AI is going to change the game of how we look upon the car industry in the next 5 to 10 years.
This year, China's Deepseek rise globally. So would you consider working together with Deepseek?
Absolutely. When I read the headline first, I called up our head of strategy, who's Chinese, and I asked him, Paul, I read this article here about Deepseek. He goes like, is it real? And he goes like, yeah, let me look into that. And it comes back, yeah, seems like it's real. The best news about that is obviously original thought and just using intelligence to take a technology to the next level with actually not so much money. It demonstrates that innovation can also happen in one go by just using a smarter way of approaching a problem. And of course, for us, as a user and integrator of this technology, if I can have more of it at the lower cost point, bring it on.
Even more to discuss, smart technology and artificial intelligence are now common and accessible. Just as we mentioned Deepseek, do consumers still want a luxury car?
Absolutely, because it's all those other values as well. Building a car, and especially a luxury car, is like if you're an Olympic decathlonist, it's 10 different sports that you need to be able to master. And now with electrification and digital experience with AI, I would argue it's like 12 sports that you need to master. But it is the recipe of the whole thing that makes a luxury product. You can see that you have cars that film stars draw, leaders of nations, captains of industry, and so on. So the home turf of Mercedes to be something desirable, something that if you get your Mercedes, you feel, I've arrived, I've reached something. It's almost like you reward yourself, you reach a new level in your life. That has always been part of Mercedes. So we're never going to be a volume brand. With us, it's going to be very high level prêt-à-porter, as the French say. So there will always be a space in the market for people that are looking for something that is a little bit more special. And that is that recipe, what makes a Mercedes, that it's just right.
If you had to choose one thing between luxury and technology, which one would you pick?
The good thing is I don't have to choose, you get both.
If Mr. Benz were still around, which one would he pick?
If you look at the history of Carl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler, I think it was Gottlieb Daimler and his very famous chief engineer, Wilhelm Maybach. They were the ones that invented luxury in automobiles. They had, of course, the sense of the aesthetics of creating something special, something that goes beyond. Carl Benz was maybe a more rational person. So you will always have this duality at Mercedes, engineering and tech, but also desirability and timeless beauty.
Should you redefine luxury in the new era?
It never stands still. If you walk through the Mercedes-Benz museum and you see decades and decades of beautiful, desirable, also luxury Mercedeses, they don't look the same today, obviously, the way they looked 100 years ago. They don't look the same today the way they looked 10 years ago. So luxury, modern luxury, it never stands still. Don't look too much in the mirror, even though you have to know where you come from. always look through the windscreen, have that pioneering spirit, and now reinvent the invention.
Next, I would like to talk about your leadership at Mercedes.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that Mercedes-Benz is at a turning point right now and that you are a CEO in a time of transformation?
Absolutely.
Let us take a trip back to May 22, 2019, the day you took over as the CEO. What happened on that day?
And I knew before I took over the role, it had been announced maybe 6 months before or so. So I knew it would happen.
Are you excited?
It is exciting, but once you're in the position, you only really know when you actually have the responsibility. When you take over the CEO role, if you look behind you, there is nobody, it's you.
You have no choice.
You have no choice. You have to embrace that responsibility.
So, as the CEO in a time of change, name the greatest dilemma you have ever faced.
I cannot pick one single one, but it's one of those things. Often when you make a decision, sometimes it's clear what the decision is. It's like 100-0 between A or B or 80-20. But sometimes decisions, because of uncertainty, you don't know how the market's going to develop. It's like a 51-49, and you pick the 51. What you have to do, if you find out it was the other way around, you have to be prepared to change sometimes later. So what I don't do is I don't dwell on things. I don't cry over spilled milk. If a decision has been made wrong, you get new information. Be prepared. Don't be afraid of losing face and just move on. That has to be the attitude.
But Tesla and Chinese car makers are still founder-driven, while German car makers have gone through several generations of professional managers. Does that make the German automakers more conservative? How can you break the deadlock of professional managers?
So you have to, of course, keep their entrepreneurial spirit. You have the pressure of the financial market while you have the pressure of the transformation at the same time. And you have to do your best in terms of releasing yourself from trying to play it safe and be bold in terms of investments, going into new technologies. But at the same time, you got to work on efficiency. It's like in sport. You got to be ready for the game. So you have to practice and make yourself fit and make sure that your organization is fit. So for us, we are investing at the highest level in the company's history in terms of fresh money, fresh engineering resources into R&D, into the factories, into tooling, into tech partnerships. At the same time, we're taking the whole organization back into the fitness studio, making processes leaner, smarter. Sometimes if you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it gets too slow. So for an established company, you have to do both.
What do you mean by the biggest ever product and tech launch program coming in 2025? It seems that it's contradict to the idea of being leaner.
On the product side, I think to stay ahead of the game here and launching more vehicles in the next 3 years than we have ever done before, that is the revenue side of the equation. And there we want to grow and we want to make sure that we either protect our position in the market or we build our position in the market. That is in a football team. That's the striker that is trying to score a goal. That's a must. But you can't win a game with just defenders. It's making sure that you deliver that at a higher speed, but also at a lower cost.
Have you ever felt that the 139-year-old giant is slow to change?
If you have a company that has 160 or 170,000 people, maybe it's different than when you start a company, you start with 150 or 200 people. Of course, it's different. And that is why also, as I mentioned before, you have to also question the organization and the processes. Even if you have a well-running machine and it's been working for years or maybe even decades. Now in transformation, is the machine fast enough? Is it agile enough? Is it efficient enough? So you have to work on that side of the business as well.
Is this transformation painful?
It is exciting. I've been in the car industry now for 32 years. I've spent my whole professional career at Mercedes-Benz. And I have never worked in a period that is more exciting than what we're seeing right now. But it's also uncertain. You have to have good nerves. If you're looking for planning stability and you want to know exactly what's going to happen in 5 years from now, don't come to the auto industry.
How do you personally define successful transformation? Is it by market share, profit margins, or being a tech leader? Which metrics, if it fails, means that you've lost?
I view my job as a custodian of the Mercedes brand. So I'm here for a period of time in the long history of this company. And my job is to make sure that when I hand over the brand to whoever takes over, the brand as a whole is in better shape than when I took it. Of course, it is about technology. It is about the value of the brand, what the customers think about our products, but it's also about financial success.
So, can you comment on the new generation of Chinese auto entrepreneurs?
When an industry goes through a transformation or even a disruption, it's not unusual that new players come in and say, I can do that. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of reinventing the original invention. In that competitive landscape, you take both the established competitors that you have known, but you also take the new players seriously. Also in my role, I drive competitor vehicles from time to time, wherever I am, whether I'm in Europe, I'm in China, or I'm in the United States, just see what others are doing. But you cannot replace original thought with benchmarking. You also have to have original thought where you are thinking about what does the next Mercedes look like? What do we think customers 3-4 years from now are going to like or love? That is what we're focused on at Mercedes.
So, when you make every big decision, do you ever feel that like Mr. Benz is watching you? Does that put a lot of pressure on you?
I think as a management team for a company with our history, with our brand, you feel a sense of responsibility, absolutely. It is a period where there's a lot of dynamic things happening in the market, so you have to be prepared to kind of also go with the flow and don't go crazy, stay cool, stay focused, be intellectually curious, and be determined to deliver. It's about your curiosity. It's about your mindset. It's a lifelong learning game.
If you could ask Mr. Benz one question, what would that be?
How do you like this car?
Okay. So here is the last question. Mercedes was the first to invent gasoline-powered car, right? Will gasoline car completely disappear? And when, if that day comes, who will Mercedes-Benz be?
I fundamentally believe that we're on a journey to zero emission. The most efficient one is electric drive, so that's the journey that we're on. So whether we end up with all electric cars or another version of zero emission propulsion, we will see someday. So you're never married to any one specific technology. So great news for Mercedes fans, you will have all of the above for the foreseeable future. The technology has always changed. Mercedes has always remained. There could be 4 Olas inside of this car. Of course, you have this fantastic super screen. The camera here is watching you to make sure that you don't watch the movie so that it is absolutely safe. But also, what I talked about, these little details, the designers, they spend a lot of time here. It's aesthetically, this is a piece of art. You bring tech into the car, but at the same time, it needs to feel like this is a new material that this is what Mercedes is about. Let's see if it works.
你好，奔驰，
主驾你好，
打开腾讯视频，
没问题，
帮我搜索喜剧之王。
马上为你播。
是的，拜托你们。
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I need to improve my Mandarin and then I can understand what it's talking about.
Okay.
Well, there you go. This is the new CLA.